opening yourself up to awareness itself, and like the awareness itself becomes more expansive. And
Hmm.
um, so it's kind of like you have these layers of reaction that
Hmm.
in the past you've identified with.
Hmm.
But now that you're doing this training, you're like, oh, well, wait a minute, I can relate to this a little bit differently. Um, so you let go of the reactions, and then what's left over is just this awareness itself. And so over time, that awareness can get bigger so that even an intense sensation, you can just be with it. Um,
Yeah.
so a common taking on how I would use this teaching, like you have a cup of water and you put a spoon of salt in it,
Hmm.
and you take a sip and you're like, oh, that's too salty, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you have like a big tank of water and you put just a spoon of salt in,
Yeah.
you can dip a cup in, you won't even necessarily taste the salt. You can just drink it, right?
Yeah. That's a
So
great, yeah,
this
great metaphor.
the amount of salt is the same,
Mm.
but the tank is bigger. So the idea is you're aware of the sensation, um, but your awareness itself can get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. This is something I'd like to stay with this a bit longer in terms of like my personal experience. I'm sure you've had um, a similar experience, like be it with the meditation and there's so many ways to describe it, like enhancing, expanding awareness. It seems like a metaphor, but there's an actual ontological experiential. It's so bizarre, like when that starts to happen, and as you say, like that, you taste the water and you're like, oh, that salt is really diluted compared to how it used to be, and there's something in that that I find pretty incredible in terms of like, so I used to have a panic disorder, like all sorts of mental health issues, depression, dissociation, really like a lot of troubles. And the actual experience of that was so confined, especially like panic is like, it's like a combustion almost. It's just like so much energy, tunnel vision. So it really feels like the whole world is condensed. And, I remember like when I first started meditating, I had a panic attack whilst having awareness. It was like the first like big moment of there's something in the ether around the experience of what I've always associated as a panic attack. Like there's more like a bit more space around it. What I guess what I try to point to is the inner experience, like that inner expanse. If we look at like non-duality, is infinite, and I feel like that can be so. I mean, it can't really be captured it in words so much, or even in metaphor, but the experience of how the confines of awareness can make emotions so much more unpleasant compared to when they seem inherently to have their own movement in an expanded space, and like how that it just the whole emotional landscape changes, right, with like meditation. And um yeah, I guess I'm interested in how that links to the body, like how
Mm-hmm.
that expansion, because we're talking about like body work and somatic experiencing and vipassana, and you have on at least on the three-dimensional plane, like your body is pretty much stays the same like once you're an adult, like in size, and your kind of boundaries of sensation remain the same. And yet emotions can feel as a phenomenon of consciousness as if they're moving in a different dimension of space. That is quite a way out, like entry into a question, but I wonder if you
Mm-hmm.
could talk to that, like how you find that,
Mm-hmm.
and if you have a link between that and body sensation.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah. So another big influence for me has been early Taoism,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll talk about the inner Jing, Qi, Shen, and Tao. Um, and so it's basically like a contemplative structure. Jing is like nutritive essence. Qi is breath energy.
Mm-hmm.
Shen is the heart mind. And then the Tao is like the deeper non-dual ground.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say it's like a 3-1 yogic structure. Um, and so I found then that 3-1 yogic structure is also in early Buddhism, and it's also in Raja Yoga.
Mm-hmm.
So in early Buddhism, you have the body as the four elements. Then you have body sensation as pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. And then you have the heart mind. And then the deeper context would be the links of dependent origination and nibbana.
Mm-hmm.
In Hindu yoga, you have asana as body posture, prana as breath energy, chitta as heart mind, and then you have the purusha, which is like the non-dual awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I like the Taoist one because the Jing energy is like energy becoming matter, basically. So it's like it has to do with your food, your sleep, your exercise, and it also relates to sexual energy as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like energy becoming matter, manifesting as your body. Then they'll say with the breath energy, um, it's related to the breath, and of course, you think qi like qigong or tai chi, or you think acupuncture and like breath energy meridians or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll also say qi is related to emotion. And so when you're experiencing emotion, you'll feel it in your body as body sensation, but you'll also feel it as like an energetic field
Mm-hmm.
that's radiating out from your body. Um, so a lot of times when I'm working with somebody in counseling and they're having an emotion, I'll say, okay, where do you feel it in your body? And then I'll say, okay, as an energy field, how far out does it radiate from your body? And I'll stand up and I'll say, okay, I'm going to start walking backwards, and you tell me when I get to the edge.
Yeah.
And so, um, so you can actually feel, oh yeah, it's about that big, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so just by doing that, it helps you be aware of emotion as, oh yeah, it's like it's about this much space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.